So I want to know like this. Let's say you have your donkey or your horse, it plows. Every day it goes plowing. Are you allowed to use it on Shabbos to plow? No. What about if if the horse knows what to do automatically by itself? The horse knows every Shabbos, every day, he just gets under the yoke, the oil, and it just goes. And Shabbos it goes. Shabbos it knows how to do it also. So it gets under the yoke and starts going. And you're in your house making kiddush. And you see the horse going down. What?
Probably not. You're getting hana.
Getting hana. But you're not doing.
I think you're obligated to make sure that your animals don't work.
Yeah, it's a pasuk.
So the pasuk says in Kiddush, we say it's from in the Chumash also, but it's in Kiddush. It says Ata uvincha uvitecha avtecha va'amascha uvemtecha. It says your behema also has to rest. It says also leman yanuach shocha v'chamarcha. It says your donkey, everything has to rest. Your animals have to rest, and therefore, even if they go by themselves, or someone else would take them, if someone else says, "Come, I want to borrow your animal," and do a little work with it on Shabbos, you're not allowed because it says behemtecha. Your behemtecha has to rest. It's a special mitzvah that we find on your possessions, that your possession has to rest.
What if somebody wants to borrow my car on Shabbat?
Well, one thing. So it says it on the shar.
No problem.
So on a car it could be different.
But you just said possession, so that's why I'm asking.
No, I'm just giving you. This is a possession which is usher. This is one example of a possession. And the Gemara even says, the Gemara learns this out and says, let's say your shar wants to eat. So is your shar allowed to go into the field and like pick up a carrot? So he says that's noyach. That's the resting of a shar to let it graze in the field, but it can't do work. If it's doing work, then you're not doing ato vincha uvimtecha. Your animal. So I'm just giving you an example that you see where it's not you doing an action with yourself. Your shar is walking by itself with the plow. The shar is not allowed to plow on Shabbos. You see, it's on your possession. In this case, your possessions should not be working. That's the example I'm saying, and therefore I'm applying that back to the field. On Shemitah, I want to know, maybe your field has to also rest. Your field has to rest. Just it's not that you have to work. You have to rest from working. Your field has to even rest from working on Shemitah. Just like your animal has to rest from working on Shabbos. Good? Huh? Wait, so you agree there's such a mitzvah on Shabbos of your...
You're not touching your field of grace.
Right. Could someone else come into your field and start plowing on Shemitah? Your neighbor. I have a very friendly neighbor. He's a great guy.
No, they're not your shaliach. He's not asking.
He's not your
shaliach. On their own, they came in and they started doing some work.
Could your neighbor go into your
being
field?
a nice guy, and he came in and he started doing.
Could your neighbor?
You can pick from it. You can pick from it and eat it.
Oh, good. Well, could you pick? Okay, pick it.
Eat it. So that means that the land is doing something.
Who
Anyway, the Baal who owns the field, he's picking.
No, but picking is not the malacha. The malacha by Shemitah is harisha, zriya, but picking is not a malacha, not one of these malachas. So the same way, I'm just giving an example. So let's look at the pasuk, because the pasuk seems to indicate that there is such a side. Let's see the beginning of this week's parsha. The first words in parsha is Behar. Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar Behar Sinai Lemar Daber el Bnei Yisrael. Speak to the Jews. V'amarta aleihem ki savayu el haaretz asher ani nosein lachem. When you come into the land, Eretz Yisrael, v'shavsa haaretz shabos laHashem. It says v'shavsa haaretz. It says when you come in, Eretz Yisrael, the land should rest. It doesn't say you shall not work the land. It doesn't say Sadcha, don't work the land. It says the land should rest. It's a very, very interesting lashon. And if you look, I'm just going to contrast it. Sometimes we find that there's a mitzvah against you. Right here, the pasuk speaking to the land. The land should rest. Sometimes the next pasuk it says you don't work on the tizra, on the zriya. Next pasuk says shei shanim 6 years you should plant, and you should put the pruning in. Here it says a loisa say. Here it says a lav, a negative commandment. Loi sizra. Loi sizra. Here it says you shall not plow, and you plant, and you shall not prune it. So that's a lav. That's a lav there in pasuk dalet. But what about pasuk beis? Pasuk beis seems to be that it's a mitzvah asay that your land should rest. Right? It comes out there's a loisay and an asay. The loisay is on you to make sure you don't work your field, and the asay of pasuk beis says make sure your land rests. That's what it seems from the psukim. If you're medayik, it's called that in pasuk dalet it's called lashon noichach. It's speaking to you, and in pasuk beis it's just speaking to you about your land. So what's the difference? So I thought you were going to ask me if I ask such a hakira, right? If I'm saying such a nice novel query, such a question, but what's the difference if it's a mitzvah that you shouldn't work the land, or if you should have your land not be worked? What's the nafkamina? Either way, your land is not going to be worked. So we're going to go through the nafkaminas. What's the first? What's the first?
Somebody else comes and works on your land.
So we'll go through. So the first example would be if someone else comes and works on the land, comes into your land on Shemitah. Now, that's an interesting case. He might get an Aveira, right? He might get the Aveira then if he works.
So he's not his land. Is it on the governor or is it on the chapter?
So
you're going to Florida.
So it seems like it's on your land. So you're good, right? So that's we have to think about that.
Why do we have this pasuk lo sasriya if we already know that Shavasa Aretz Shabbos Hashem? If you already know that the land is ready in the field of Shabbos, why is the pasuk need to tell us lo sasei lo sasriya?
It is a asay and a lo sasei. That if a person does it, he's going to get two. He's going to get an aveira, and he's going to be going against an asay. Asay means you have to do it positively. He's going to be mevato. He's going to go against the mitzvah asay, and he's going to get a lo sasei. It's two things. It's going to be two averas. Asay and a lo sasei.
That say is not strong enough?
No, they're both strong. But sometimes the Torah gives two lav, and sometimes the Torah tells you right. The Torah repeats certain times to say you get over it twice.
You're not answering this question.
Why did they have to say an asay and a lo sasei?
It's asking a good question. Why wouldn't it be enough if they just
have asay?
Just let the land, don't do anything to the land. Let the land rest. Why do you have to have that?
Why do you need another pasuk of a lo sasei? Well, I'm telling you, we find this a lot of times that Behar Kosev to tell you another lo sasei, right? That we find sometimes that the Torah says to give you two lavin. So here it's coming to say a lav and asay. You never heard of a pasuk that the Torah says we repeat it to give you two lo saseis on it. You're going to get
no azhara. He's getting azhara.
No what?
You can't punish without an azhara.
Oh yeah, you need an azhara.
But and therefore, what do you want to say which pasuk?
If you need somewhat of punishment, you're going to say the Rashi in Bechukosai that the land got their Shemitah because all the years that they children keep Shemitah. Well, you need a love for it. This is a love.
But what happens?
You want to say that's why there's a love?
You need a love.
But what about maybe for Malchus? You need a love to give you Malchus.
Right. Would it be a punishment? What's the punishment to somebody who does work the field?
If he works the field on Shemitah, so he will get. Just bring that chair for Danny here.
Would he get Malchus?
If he works the field on Shemitah, he would get. So that would be a Malchus.
So we need that to
I would also tell you he gets Malchus also. So we have three different reasons. The first reason is also good, but we'll work that out later. In any event, so now we have the first nafkamina, right? The first now we're up to the first nafkamina that the mitzvah Sinach says. Here we go. Okay. So now to expound a little bit more about that, because Mark is saying that one answer why you need to say that two things, is saying you cannot work on your land and your land has to rest, would be if you have someone else come into the land.
Not you have.
Or someone else comes. Right, someone else comes in. Now, the question would be, he might get an Aveira. We have to think about that. Will he get an Aveira if someone else comes in the land on his own? But the question would be, what about a goy? A goy doesn't have mitzvahs of Shemitah. So could a goy come into your land and plant and plow?
That's what they do now.
What?
They let to the goy and the goy plots the land now. Don't they do that now?
That now
They sell it.
no, nowadays they sell it.
So,
If
but
you
then
sell the land,
but the land's being worked.
oh, but it's his land. It's his land. The issue is for your land to be worked.
You give up your position on the land.
So you right here they do a heter mechira. It's called they selling it. They're actually selling the land, and it has to be a real sale. But that's a whole controversial because the question is, are you really selling your land?
What's the difference between that and the guy that comes from next door? It's not his land.
No, but when the guy comes from next door, so here your land is not being rested. It's not resting now. It's not resting. Now the question is
That's the other issue.
what is Amir al-Akum here? The question is if Amir al-Akum plays a role. So Amir al-Akum is an Issa D'Rabbanan. The Rabbanan said on different Averis, on Shabbos, to the Rabbanan said you can't ask a goy to do work for you, right? And there's different reasons why you can't ask him to do it. One of the reasons is you might come to do it yourself. Different things why you can't do Amir al-Akum. But in any event, that is the Isra Amir al-Akum. So the Gemara is an interesting Gemara Bab Matzia. The Gemara says, what is the Isra of Amir al-Akum on? On which Averis? We know it's on Shabbos. On Shabbos you cannot ask a goy to do any work, and that is for sure on Shabbos, because Shabbos is very, very chamor. Shabbos is, if someone does the malacha on Shabbos, skila, he gets killed. So the Gemara says in Bava Tzia, the Gemara says, I know there's for sure an Isser of Amir al-Akum not to ask a goy to do a malacha for you because a malacha is skila. So on skila we say that even we don't want to even let you ask a goy to do work. There's an Isser of Amir al-Akum on the Isser skila of Shabbos. But the Gemara wants to know what about on an Isser of a lav? A lav. There's one of the case over there is loy sachsoim shar bedishoy. It says in Parashas Kisei that you should not muzzle your shar. Your shar, your ox is going in the field. You're not allowed to muzzle it, keep a muzzle on the mouth while it's going in the field because it wants to eat a little bit, take a little bit of eating. So it's a lot of maybe different reasons why you can't muzzle it, but you're not allowed to muzzle it. So Gemara has a question. Are you allowed to ask a goy to muzzle it and to plow with it? Could he be your shliach? Could you do Amir al-Akum? Is there an Isser of Amir al-Akum on every other Aveira in the book? Or is it only on an Isser of Shabbos? Only on Shabbos is it an Isser of Amir al-Akum? Or even on an Isser of a lav, a little Aveira, not a little, but smaller Aveira. Only a lav of Leisachsim Sharbadishoy, or any other lav for that matter, working on, let's say, Shemitah would be also another example. Working on Shemitah, if someone works on Shemitah, it's not the Chomor, it's not so stringent that he gets killed if he works on Shemitah. It's a lav. Lav is not skila. So that's the Gemara's question. So the Gemara goes back and forth. But there's a little Taisus over there, and the little Taisus says the following words. The little Taisus asks, what is the whole question? I didn't photocopy it, but it's the Gemara in Bava Tzia Daf Tzaddik. So the Gemara Taisus over there asks the following question. How could you think that on a lav there might not be an Isser of Amir al-Akum? The Gemara Ma'id Katan says that if someone does work on Shabbos, or the Gersa there is Shvius, on Shvius or Yom Tif, so there it's Lifnei Iver. It's Lifnei Iver on Shvius, which is Shemitah, and on Yom Tif. So Tais asked the question, you see that there is an Isser of Amir al-Akum on Shemitah and Yom Tif. And even though that's only a lav to work on Shemitah. So Taisus there says a teretz. Taisus says no, but you would have thought that Shabbos and Yom Tif it's all one. So they made a gezerah that it's just like you can't do Amir al-Akum on Shabbos. So they said you can't do it on Yom Tif also. No, not Lifnei Iver. Sorry, they made a gezerah that you can't do Amir al-Akum on Yom Tif because just like Shabbos, they wanted Shabbos and Yom Tif are connected. So just like you can't do the of Amir al-Akum on Shabbos, so they said also Yom Tif you can't do Amir al-Akum. That was Taisus saying, Taisus' side. So the Marshal asked, good, that's good for Yom Tif. That explains why on Yom Tif we thought that maybe you might have a special reason why there's Amir al-Akum. But what about Shvius? Shemitah. Shemitah is a regular lav. Why would you have thought? Why would that Gemara have thought that there's a lav of Lifnei Iver, of Amir Akum on Shemitah? So the Marshal therefore says the Girs is wrong. He says the Taisus there didn't mean to ask him Shemitah because he has another reason why. He says it's really Shabbos and Yom Tov. He changes the Girsa, but what's important for us is that he says that Shemitah, there's no such thing as Lifnei Iver.
Breaking Yom Tov.
Breaking Yom Tov is also allowed. Someone does malach on Yom Tov, it's allowed. So, but the Marshal says there's no Amir La'akum on Shemitah. You know how I know there's no such thing as Amir La'akum on Shemitah? Because in Shemitah, there's a separate problem if you tell a guy to work your field. What's the separate problem if he works your field? You're going to be over Vishav Sa'aretz Shabbos Lashem. Your field has to rest. So if you're going to tell the guy, Amir La'akum, go into my field and work. So on Shabbos that might have been a lav, a shvus, a derabanan. Amir La'akum is an issa derabanan. You can't tell the guy. Derabanan on Shabbos. But on Shemitah, it's going to be much more than a derabanan. Because on Shemitah, it's actually a mitzvah saseh that you're not working, you're not leaving your land fallow. So therefore, the Marshal says there can't be any isser of Amir La'akum on Shemitah because Shemitah Amir La'akum is only issa derabanan to get you that you're not really doing anything against the Torah by asking a guy to turn on your air conditioner but the Rabbanan said we don't want you to ask the guy to do every malacha for you for whatever the reason would be. Therefore the Rabbanan made a special gezerah. The Rabbanan don't ask a guy to do anything. But by Shemitah, says the Marshal, Shemitah, I already have an Isser from the Torah, B'Shav Zaret Shabbos Lashem. If the guy's going to do it, you're going against the Torah already. So there's no Amir La'akum that is Asr on Shemitah. That's what the Marshal says.
Even if you hint him in a way like, my field needs...
So if you hint to him, so maybe you won't be doing the Amir La'akum of Shabbos. But there's the Shav Zaret Shabbos Lashem. If he does the work on your field, then your field is not resting. So you're going against the Aseh. You're going to mevatel mitzvah Aseh.
Only for us. Shabbos is on us. It's not on any.
Shemitah is for my field to rest.
The field needs to rest.
The field needs to rest. If I get a guy, if I hint to the guy, or I just show him, if you show him, by the way, you show the guy, then that's really shlichus. That's not hinting. But it's not that you hint and say my field needs a little bit of watering. So you might not be doing Amir La'akum, but you're going to be doing a problem of letting your field be worked on, and it says the Shav Zaret Shabbos Lashem.
Is there a problem of Amir La'akum on a regular law?
So that's the Gemara Bava Tzia. The Gemara Bava Tzia goes back and forth. But we're just explaining. I'm just explaining to you why there would be a side to say. I'm just explaining to you why there would be a side to say that there is no Amir La'akum. The Gemara is saying because it's not so famar. The Rabbanan only said that you can't do Amir La'akum on an Isur Skila. But on Isur Lav, maybe there's no Amir La'akum. So we'll have to get into that question at maybe another share. We'll dedicate to that answer. But this is the first nafkamina. The first difference why the pasuk is saying B'Shav Zaret Shabbos Lashem is that it's coming to tell you that even if you get around the other Isser, right? Even if you say you get a guy to come into your field, or even if and he's not your shliach, but there will be a separate problem, right? And although maybe you get a guy to come in, you won't be doing Sadcha Lo Sizra, right? You won't be going against the Torah when the Torah says don't plant and don't prune, right? That you're okay because the guy is doing it. But you're going to be doing B'Shav Zaret Shabbos Lashem. You're going to be going against that. You're not letting your land rest, and that's why you need this pasuk. That's the first nafkamina that comes up from here. And the truth is, it comes out. It's very interesting how the pasuk reads. Let's just look at a pasuk here. I want to show you how the haflah. Let everyone take a pasuk. Let's just look up the chumash. Just to show you how it works out into the pasuk in Parshas Mishpatim. Because over there it goes through. In Parshas Mishpatim, the unbelievable pasuk here. Watch how you can touch up a pasuk according to this explanation. Perek, it's in Mishpatim. Here, take one from there, from the shelf. Ellie, pass them one kukumot. Are you going to share? Okay, you'll share. So if you look in the towards the end of Mishpatim, fascinating pasuk in Perek Chaf Gimel. Perek Chaf Gimel pasuk Yud. Actually, let's start from Yud Beis. So pasuk Yud Beis, Perek Chaf Gimel, pasuk Yud Beis. You see where that is? Perek Chaf Gimel, pasuk Yud Beis. So look at that pasuk carefully. It says Sheishes Yamim Tasem Asecha. It says 6 days you shall do your work. Uvayom Hashvi Tishbos. On the 7th day you should rest. Right? That's Shabbos. Shabbos you have to rest. Why? Now look at this. This is an interesting word. Leman Yonuach Sharcha V'Chamorecha. In order that your shar and your chamar should rest. So the Rashi, let's see Rashi over here. Rashi says, now by the way, just to look back, go back two psukim earlier, pasuk Yud, it starts telling us that we're talking about Shemitah. Pasuk Yud, it says, V'sheish shonim tizras atzecha. 6 years you should plant your land. V'yasavta s'vuasa v'hashviyas. On Shemitah, tishmetena v'netashtena. On Shemitah, then you leave it fallow. And then it says in pasuk Yud Beis, right after that, that on 6 days you shall work, and on the 7th day you shall rest.
Why does it say Masecha instead of Masecha?
Oh, that's an interesting question here. Asks Eli, what does the pasuk says? Sheishes Yamim, and Yud Beis says 6 days you shall do your Masecha, your deeds. Why doesn't it say the usual words that we usually say? We say Tashem Lachtecha. We have other psukim in about Shabbos where it says don't do your work. So Eli's not having to the hafla, right? Usually we say don't do work on Shabbos. Why you say 6 days you should do Maasecha?
But the Torah never says Sheishes Yamim Tasem Lachtecha.
Yes, it does. Sure, it says a pasuk Sheishes Yamim Tasem Lachtecha. We'll look it up afterwards. In fact, Eli and hafla. So why here they say 6 days Tasem Maasecha, your deeds? So the hafla says, yeah, but you have to look at the context. Where is this pasuk going in? What is pasuk Yud Beis coming after? Pasuk Yud and Yud Aleph. What is Yud and Yud Aleph dealing with? Shemitah. Shemitah, you cannot do melachtecha. You can't work your field, right? Because Shemitah, you're not allowed to work on your field. That's pasuk Yud, Yud Aleph. Says pasuk Yud Beis. Oh, therefore Sheishes Yamim Taseh Maasecha. You could do your work, your Maasecha, whatever your deeds happen to be. Ma'asim Tovim. You're doing Chesed, but you're not doing work. You're not doing Malach because it's Shemitah. Therefore it says, but on Yom Shvi Tishbos, on the 7th day, there's a special new din called Shabbos, and that Shabbos applies even in the year of Shemitah. Even during Shemitah, there's a mitzvah of Shabbos. Don't think that on Shemitah there's no Shabbos. And that's the next words of the pasuk. What does the pasuk Yud Beis say? Pasuk Yud Aleph. Why should you rest? Leman yanuach sharcha v'chamorecha.
That doesn't work.
What does that mean?
If you're only doing your mice if you're not working, why would your chamor and your shor not also? You would always be resting.
So the answer is, on Shemitah, maybe your animals could still do work. Let's say your guy, your friend, comes to you and says, I need a horse. Can I borrow your horse during Shemitah? What's the din? Could your horse do work for your neighbor? For a guy?
Why not?
Sharcha v'chamarcha. Okay, you're good. Your donkey and your ox. On Shemitah, is he allowed to work for a guy?
I would think so. Yeah.
You want to say?
Yes, it's only on your land.
Oh, Excellent. So Shemitah, you're allowed to work, you're allowed to have your ox and your donkey working by your goyish neighbor. Says the pasuk. Oh, on Shemitah you're allowed, but on the Yom HaShvi, on the 7th day, which is Shabbos of Shemitah, Tishbois, Leman Yanuach Shacha v'Chamarcha. I know your land is already resting, but we need your shar and your chamar to get a rest also. So on Shabbos, don't have your shar even work, because the shar is also commanded that even your shar should rest. Never mind if you're sleeping, but if your shar takes the yoke and starts to go, you have to make sure your shar stops. On Shabbos of Shemitah, every Shabbos of the year, your shar cannot work, even on your field. But on Shemitah, where your field is for sure, you can't even work. But let's say your shar takes the yoke and says, I'm going to go to my neighbor, the guy's field, where there's no Shemitah on that field, you still have to stop it. There, the shar has your mitzvah is on the shar that your shar should rest. So you have to stop your shar from going in on Shabbos, which means a whole Shemitah you can't work anyway. But your shar could have worked. Therefore, the pasuk needs to tell you the reason why it's Shabbos. Leman yanuach sharcha v'chamarech. It's a beautiful hafla, and the hafla finishes with Rashi and the shar. Oh,
So you can't even do Amira Akum for shore.
right. So you can't do it. Well, whose shar? On your shar, you can't do Amir Lakum. Also on Shabbos, because Shabbos your shar has to rest. If it's not resting, then you are over. Even if a guy does it, even if someone comes along on himself and wants to use it, even if your shar decides to do it on his own, you can't do it. Now, and Rashi also speaks this out. Look at the Rashi right on this pasuk. On pasuk, I believe it's Yud Beis. Yeah, pasuk Yud Beis, Rashi. She says, Af bashana hashvius loy teyaker Shabbos bereshis mimakoimo. Even on Shemitah, there still will be Shabbos every week. Don't think, well, it's Shemitah, I'm resting the whole year. So what is Shabbos? Shabbos, I don't have to rest. I'm not working anyway. Shalai Taiva, don't say it like that. If the whole year is Shabbos, I'm resting the whole year. Shabbos bereshis. No. That's what it refers to. It refers to it a lot of times like that.
Rashi calls Shabbos Bereshis?
Sometimes we find that, yes. It's referring to that Shabbos, not the Shabbos of the land of Shemitah. Shabbos Bereshis. It's the Shabbos of Bereshis, reminiscing the Bereshis. Right. So that's the hafla, and the hafla is beautiful, and he therefore explains that's what you need Shabbos in the middle of Shemitah. And he also says the opposite will hold true. Why do you need? Is there any problem? Is there an issur of Shemitah on Shabbos? I want to ask you, comes Shemitah, comes Shabbos of Shemitah. Is there a special din of Shemitah on Shabbos also? Or you might say the opposite. On Shabbos, it's holy every 7th day. Every Shabbos, for every 7th day, I can't work. Does Shemitah come on the 7th day on top of the mitzvah of Shabbos also? Or, no, you have Shabbos already. I don't need Shemitah here. Does the 7th day, which is holy from Shabbos, is there also a mitzvah of Shemitah on top of that? That's the question here.
What's the difference if it is or if it is not?
What's the nafkamina? So here, that would be the difference, right? The hafla himself says this exact same thing that we're saying, that yes, there is also Shemitah on top of Shabbos, and the nafkamina would be, the difference would be, let's take this first example. Could you have a goy work on your field on Shabbos? Right? Let's say a goy decides to work not with your pushing him. The goy decides, your neighbor decides to work on your field on Shabbos. Right? So we have to think about. Let's say there's no issur of Amir al-Akum, but on Shemitah your field has to rest, and that's what the hafla says. Even if you get around how he's getting you to work, who's going to work on your field doesn't have a mitzvah of resting on Shabbos, right? Shabbos, it doesn't say your field should rest. It says your shore should rest, but your field could be working away. We'll have to go into all the details. But on Shemitah of Shabbos, your field has to stop.
I understand why one might entertain the thought that on the Shemitah year, since the whole year is like Shabbos, Shabbos is suspended. I understand that. The reverse, why would you think that Shemitah would be suspended on Shabbat?
You don't need Shemitah. I'm already resting. It's already Shabbos. Why do I need
That's you. We know that Shemitah is all about the land.
Oh, so that's the teretz. So that's the haflah's teretz. The haflah, you already know all of the lumdis, so that's why you don't even hear the kasha. When I give you the teretz so good, so the kasha doesn't start. But the haflah says that was the kasha. The haflah thought, it's already Shabbos, I'm already resting. Why do I need a special command to rest on Shemitah? So the answer is, Shemitah says that your land you have a mitzvah to make sure your land is resting, which you wouldn't have from Shabbos. So Shemitah says, yeah, but your land has to rest also. That's not flaw. To have a marshal, Amirul Akum, right? He says there's no Amirul Akum on Shemitah because your land itself, forget about the abundance of Amirul Akum. Your land has to rest, and you have the haflah. And now there's one more nafkamina. There's one more difference that I want to just bring up, and that is, let's say you plant. We're going to go into planting, dinam of Zriya, right? Planting on Shabbos and Shemitah. So the first malacha is planting. You're not allowed to plant on Shabbos. Let's say you drop a seed in on Shabbos into the ground, Zriya, right? There's a big argument. How long does it have to actually germinate the seed? Does it have to come into actually a real plant? But if you drop it in on Shabbos, you're over Zriya. What? At least, but we'll take on. It's gonna keep on going. It's still right. Let's say you drop in a seed into your field on Friday afternoon, and then it starts to take root into the soil. It takes 3 days to take root into the soil. So on Friday you plant it and it takes root a whole Shabbos. Is there a problem with that? It's called klita. Klita, when it actually takes root into the soil, that's on Shabbos. Is there a problem with klita on Shabbos? And that's a part of the actual growing. Just putting the seed in the ground wouldn't do anything. It has to actually start to take root. Right. So the Minchas Sinaf says, even though klita is actually a real part of growing, but it's done by itself. It's nasis me'eleh. You're only chayav on Shabbos if you do work. You have to do an action. You put the seed in the ground, you did an action of planting on Shabbos. But on klita, the klita happens by itself. The actual taking root happens by itself. You're not chayav on Shabbos for the klita. But let's go now to Shemitah. Shemitah here is a little different. Because here, the mitzvah here, on Shemitah, right, if you put a seed in on Shemitah into your field, that's usher. You're not allowed to plant a field on Shemitah. And if you do klita, and if it takes root, that's also a problem on Shemitah. By the way, the Bechukosai, by the way, speaks out, maybe if they give Masra for planting and also for taking root, it could be he'll be over 2. Okay. Ask Rav Danny, Viton, Bam Kasha. Bechukosai asked the Kasha. Let's say before Shemitah, you put the seed in the ground, and then it's not Shemitah yet, it's before Rosh Hashanah, and then it starts to take root after Rosh Hashanah. It starts to actually get into the ground for those 3 days. Are you allowed to do that or not?
So it says on the 6th year you can't, the 7th year it says on the 6th year you're not allowed to.
Okay, so that's maybe a Durabanan. But I want to know, let's say on the Deraisa, will he be over the Isser of Shemitah from the Torah? So Danny says, yeah. His field is actually doing klita, it's actually taking the seed and making it take root on Shemitah. And it says in the pasuk, V'shav Sa'aretz Shabbos Lashem.
What about the other plants that you planted, let's say even earlier in the year, and on the tree itself, a seed falls into the ground and takes klita over there?
He's asking you a good question. What's your name? Oh yeah, he's asking a good question. 1 second, hold on to your question. 1 minute. He's already jumping to Reb Steinman and the Chazon Ish. Before we get to the other Achronim. But Danny, here's Danny's question. Danny's saying that And the Minchas Chinuch says this. Minchas Chinuch, he holds like the Marshal and the Afla, and he says that the mitzvah of Shemitah is on the land. Your land has to lie fallow, and therefore you cannot put the seed in the ground before Shemitah starts, because then your land will actually be taking root on Shemitah, and that's Asr, because your land has to lay fallow. So that is the nafkamina number 2. Nafkamina number 2, that the Minchas Chinuch himself says that you can't plant anything right before Shemitah.
That's the picture of.
So that's the 2 nafkaminas we're going to bring up. But the question, now I'm going to ask here Rabbi Aryeh's question on the Minchas Chinuch. Rabbi Aryeh asked, but according to this, you should have to uproot all your trees from your field before Shemitah comes. Ask Rav Steinman, right? How could you have your field growing a tree, growing plants on Shemitah? Your field is working, your field is producing.
Just say on Shabbos, you're not doing it yourself.
On Shabbos, the actual prohibition is you should not do work yourself. On Shabbos, you're right. But on Shemitah, it's not dependent only on your working. On Shemitah, there's another aspect that we have here. The Shavsa Ha'aretz, Shabbos Hashem. There's a mitzvah for your land to lie fallow. Even if you would just be sitting on the side, but if your land is somehow being worked, that's an Isser. So therefore, ask Rav Steinman, you should have to uproot all your trees for Shemitah. You should make sure nothing is planted there from beforehand. And he says more than that. What would be if you have, by mistake, you plant something on Shemitah? By mistake, on Shemitah you go there and they're planted. So the rule is that the Rabbanan said you have to uproot it. The Rabbanan said, Gezerah. It's a special Gezerah, because what's going to happen is, we're scared someone might play tricks. Right? From the Torah, if you planted it, it was a mistake, you can leave it there. But we're scared that someone's going to start doing it on purpose. He's going to go plant things on purpose, and then he'll tell the Rabbanan, I was a shoygeg, I made a mistake. Therefore the Rabbanan said, even a shoygeg has to uproot anything he plants by mistake on Shemitah. The question is, it's only a takana de Rabbanan to get, make sure these people stay in line. It's from the Torah. You planted on Shemitah, good, it was a mistake, but now it's going to grow. How could it grow on Shemitah? Your field is going to actually be growing a plant. So asks Reb Shach also, and Reb Steinman, and the Chazon Ish, why is it only a Rabbanan? That we say, the Rabbanan said you have to uproot it, so we shouldn't have any fakers coming along and making believe they're a shoygig, and they're doing it by mistake, and really doing it by on purpose. It should be from the Torah. The Torah should mandate that you have to uproot that plant from the ground that you did by mistake. That's his question. And he asked this question. He also asked the other question that we said, that if you plant it before Shemitah also, it's a machlokes if you have to take it out. Not that you planted it before Shemitah. He went against the Torah or the Rabbanan. But it's a machlokes Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says you don't have to take it out. You don't have to uproot the plant. Why not? But it's going to grow on Shemitah. And there's another question. The last question Rav Steinman asks. What about Tzvichim? Tzvichim there's a special rule on Shemitah that if something grows by itself, right? Let's say you just have an overgrown, that the stuff goes by itself. So the din is, it's called Sviach, and it's actually going to see it in the Pasuk Hey. It's a good idea to see it now, just so we'll get an idea. Pasuk Hey says, "Es Sviach Kitzircha Lo Yisikzar." You shouldn't cut off the Svichim. So now the question is, let's say Sviach grows by itself, right? You're not allowed to harvest it, but let's say it grows by itself. Are you allowed to eat it, right? So the question is, the din is Svichim is only Asur D'Rabbanan to work, right? You have to work out. We'll have to learn up the pasuk. But the din is Svichim is only Asur D'Rabbanan. The question is Sviach, something that grows, overgrown, whatever the plants, the weeds and stuff. Why should that only be an Isur D'Rabbanan? That should be an Isur D'Oraisa, according to the pasuk, the Shav Sa'aretz, Shabbos Lashem. This is the argument back and forth that Reb Steinman and Reb Shach and the Minchas Chinuch attack. They attack the Minchas Chinuch, who says that it's only the Shav Sa'aretz. He said they want to argue and say no, it's not a land mitzvah, it's on you, only on you. So we have a two-way argument here, and they go back and forth. These are the two sides. And Mitzvah Chinuch, he held like that. He held the mitzvahs on the land, on the Shav Saretz, Shabbos Lashem, and the other Akoidim, they argued with Shach, from Shtaim, and Chazon Ish. They said, no, it's not on the land, it's on you. You cannot work on your land. That's It's both on you.